Happy Wednesday morning, wrestling fans, as WrestlePool does the unusual, a review show of NXT. And first of all, I'd like to put out a PBB for our table. Our table is missing. If anyone has seen our table, please message us at WrestlePool on YouTube. We are looking for our table right now. Today is the rest the microphone on the belly day. As we are here, I'm Hosier, that's Bear. This is WrestlePool. We are hashtag those NXT guys. And well, what can I say? The ending to the USA Network.
Oh, you're good. Sorry.
The ending to the USA Network was the equivalent to the old Cash for Clunkers program that the government had to buy old used cars, because that's pretty much the effort they put into it. They put a 1963 Dodge with 300,000 miles worth of effort into last night, because I thought last night was atrocious.
Oh, it was bad, but what an analogy. Two things real quick. What is PBB? That's the second time I've seen that today, or heard it.
An APB? What do the cops put out?
Oh, an APB,
is
not a PBB. Yeah, an APB.
Peanut butter. I don't know.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Person here.
Peanut butter jelly time. Okay. Also, now that you said that, all that's stuck in my head is 1877 cars for kids.
Yeah, the government had a Cash for Clunkers program.
Oh my goodness, it was it was terrible. But anyway, it was terrible, and it's terrible that that's stuck in my head. Just about as terrible as NXT was last night, which is really disappointing.
It was very disappointing
because they've been on such a high. They've been producing such incredible shows,
and they mailed it in.
I agree. They mailed this one in. It
wasn't very good. The whole press conference thing was a joke.
Yeah,
that
was weird.
Not done well at all. It should have been a legit press conference. They should have had the second hour of the show. If you're going to do something that bad,
right,
you should have the second hour of the show just building towards next Tuesday.
Right.
Because you definitely could have had great interactions with Trick and Ethan Page, with CM Punk kind of moderating that interview. Not to compare it, but when Jim Ross moderated Stone Cold versus The Rock, and they were kind of sitting in the locker room, and the two guys, and you could have done some really interesting promos with Punk.
Right.
You could have done that with Julia and Roxanne instead of the setup they had, which just seems to put Julia at a real disadvantage. She looked weak. She looked confused. I think she was trying to read off the paper. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to get at with that.
Yeah.
But it was weird.
I think, and then also what a weird way to debut Stephanie Vacour.
That was my next. Yes. You said that immediately last night.
So weak. I get if she couldn't be there, then don't do it.
Do it next Tuesday.
The
winner holding the bell up, boom, her music drops.
100%.
She comes through the crowd, or she's sitting in the crowd.
100. Absolutely. Especially because the way I get it would have been really impactful for her to have been there. Roxanne and Julia are having they both get out of their chairs. They're having their face off. All of a sudden, Stephanie's music hits. Or even if you had done it where it was because she kind of interrupted them speaking, and Byron was I don't know what news outlet that is, but please wait your turn. If she would have if the video would have played and would have said, I had the question for you, and then her music hits and she comes out and the three of them in the ring, 100% there are better ways to have done that.
Yes.
And I would have rather them not do it the way they at all last night if that was the way that they had to do it. But easy. It just everything came off awkward.
Yes.
Last night.
You were even saying it during the one match that I enjoyed was the North American Women's title match.
Yeah.
Which was Kalani and Ren Sinclair. But you were saying early on in the match, this feels off.
It felt weird. First of all, I feel it wasn't as smooth as I would expect. We talked about the Kalani Wendy Chu match from No Mercy. Kalani Jordan's kind of she's got one match that she can do.
Exceeded,
exceeded right now. Last night, I guess, could have been that match. I also felt like they were rushing everything.
Yeah.
I felt like they needed to take a beat, slow down, and just like, I don't know, like just wrestle a little bit more. Like it felt like it was trying to be forced of being like this high intensity, fast paced match. And it felt awkward. Like I couldn't put my finger on it last night, but it just felt awkward. So yeah, I wasn't impressed top to bottom. The one thing that I kind of enjoyed, I guess, was the Tony D like training montage.
Yeah.
But even that to me, like again, I've talked about how, first of all, I'm in shock that they're not doing this match in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like where Tony's from, like you're gonna do it in St. Louis instead. That's insanity. But I feel like they've been doing so good with this story of building it and slow playing it and just kind of letting us really dig into some really cool stuff. And last night with the training montage, you just kind of felt rushed. Like, okay, Tony's got his match and he's going to sign his like we're going back to just rushing these stories. Yeah. I'm like, guys, slow down.
That montage could have been a lot better. You know, we joked when we were originally like kind of fantasy booking this about like the Chad Gable effect with Sami Zayn, having someone like that come in and it not be such, I guess, intrinsic motivation, but someone coming in who has quote unquote slayed the beast.
Right.
Like if a Rey Mysterio came out because he had beaten the Big Show and he challenged, you know, something like that would have been a little bit more getting you ready to be inside the mind of someone who has to go try to claim this prize now from this, you know, the immovable object, so to speak, the monster. And it's all just coming from the family. And I get it. You know, you're trying real hard. You're scared. You want your family around you. Sometimes it's nice to have a swift kick in the ass from someone who's been in your shoes, who has already done your thing, and can really give you that insight on how to go ahead and do it.
So, you know, we got a quick vignette or like little, what's it called? That was, I guess, posted on Twitter from the Miz that of him saying that Tony and Oba are going to be on Miz TV next week to sign the contract. Why not have Miz there? Why not? Like, I understand maybe Miz isn't that like, I mean, Miz has slayed his own giants metaphorically in what he's done in WWE. He would have been a good person, I think, if you're going to have Tony and Oba on Miz TV anyway. Why not Miz come and like tap Tony on the shoulder and be like, hey guy, like, you got this. Like, I'm here to help, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like that could have been a really cool way to have done that. I also feel like we could have gotten more of just Tony being scared this week.
Yes.
Like,
that's what I wanted.
Do the training montage next week.
Yeah.
Before the contract signing, but this week, give me more of Tony in his head trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Trying to find the motivation, the confidence, the everything. But
for me, it's like the training should have been after he loses in St. Louis.
Yeah,
because he needs to suffer another defeat.
He does
before something like that video, like the old Rocky thing, can really, because now he's going to be truly down and out, and he's going to truly be, well, I give up, I can't do it, I'm going to move on, and then something's going to happen that Oba does something to say Adriana Rizzo or something that's really going to incite Tony to go to the next level. Right. Like if Tony wins in St. Louis, it's like, like
it's
you
rushed.
said, it's rushed. Like yesterday was NXT Russian. Like they literally were just flying through things to get off the USA Network because they entered the USA Network with a bang.
Right.
Adam Cole, champ, Roderick Strong wins a title. Bianca Belair and them in a fatal 4-way for the #1 contenders match that Candice LeRae won.
Right.
Like this is how they kicked off.
Right.
And they kicked, out like a lion or in like a lion, out like a whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
They just swept it under the carpet and was like, all right, we're out.
Yeah.
USA.
Yeah, it 100% felt mailed in was a good term. Like it was like, And I also kind of like, I mean, not to put conspiracy theories out there, but is there a certain level of like, if we lower the bar this week, then it's easier for next week to just be like, oh my God.
I hope that's not their thinking, because they're not as stable in their product and what they're pushing out to us.
Right.
Then we want them to be that we feel that they are, at least with Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
Because they clearly have a plan for Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
But I hope that whatever they do next week is sustainable beyond, because the CM Punks will leave, the Miz's will leave.
Right.
And how are you leveraging the star power you have to come in? Because I think it needs to be a regular occurrence. I think there needs to be talent. If you really want this to be, because you had said it to me, or I read it online, that they're trying to get 1 million viewers next Tuesday.
I think they're trying.
If the goal is 1 million viewers, you're going to have a steady influx. Like and again, who sells enough to increase by 400,000 viewers? Because they're normally in the 6 to 670 range. CM Punk, Randy Orton wrestling will do that.
Yeah.
CM Punk as a special guest referee, maybe in Chicago, because we want to hear the crowd go crazy.
Because it's Chicago,
But him wrestling in Chicago gets you to the 1 million viewers.
Yeah, CM Punk wrestling on next Tuesday would have gotten you to 1 million viewers. Definitely.
When Seth and Becky came down for the one, they had 800,000 when they weren't averaging what they're averaging now.
I know.
So
right.
It's going to have to be a real, like, they're going to have to really make a point. And even in the next draft, you got to put some established names. Like, because the partnership with TNA is cool and it's working. It's working for both parties in 100%. Spades. But now we've kind of lost Joe Hendry.
Right.
Now we're relying on Rosemary and Hammerstone, which is a great get for that match with Ola.
Right.
But you have the people.
Right.
Like you have the Bianca Belairs.
Correct.
You have the people that can come down and be that steady flow.
Correct.
We'll see, because when all of them leave, then you're kind of right back to where you were on USA with, well, there's a ceiling to what NXT can do. And 1 million viewers may not be at 750, might be the max for the current setup of NXT. Because let's face it, it is development.
Right. It is. At the end of the day, it is development. These are not, these are the stars who are there are stars to the hardcore wrestling fan.
Yes.
They're not stars. They're not somebody that is going to pull in the casual fan. NXT is not and has not been for the casual fan. That may change moving forward. I do wonder, like, I think that their goal for these first couple on the CW is, in fact, 1 million viewers. Yeah. I think if they do 1 million back to back, this is blown out of the water. The other thing, though, that I also believe is on the horizon for NXT that may be their bigger focus and why they don't need the stars is they're not going to be in the Performance Center anymore, and they're going to be traveling, and they're going to go, because what the show that I am more in, Chicago is going to be cool. It's the first time on the CW. CM Punk is there, blah, blah, blah. Chicago is going to be cool. What I'm more interested for is St. Louis and this venue that they're going to in St. Louis, because it's what we looked it up. It's like max 4,000 seats. Yeah. So you have this, which is really a music venue. It's not even, it's a music venue that they're using for the night. I want to see if they could pack that place, and they might be able to pack that place even without a Randy Orton. But if they could pack that place, and it's a great atmosphere, and it works for TV, we might see NXT moving to venues like that all over the country. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, that's a money. NXT only makes money on TV right now, because guess what? NXT shows are free, minus the house shows that we go to. Yeah. Like, those are not free, but NXT TV every week, they don't sell tickets for. Like, it's free.
Lottery.
It's a lottery, right? You show up, you put your name in, and you hope that you get chosen to go, and you don't have to pay anything. So now they have this opportunity with some of these smaller venues to possibly be able to run ticketed shows which is another revenue opportunity for them outside of NXT just making money on TV. So I think 1 million viewers is these next 2 weeks is a goal, but in the long term, I actually don't know that it is, because I think what they're going to make up for the viewership on the other end of like selling tickets to events and being able to have people.
Because your theory, since the Netflix deal was announced, was there's going to be a fourth show.
Yeah, I think there's a fourth show.
And we've talked about it on camera and off about NXT Level Up being what NXT is, and then NXT becoming kind of the third brand for a massive roster.
Yeah.
To where Level Up now takes over, or they can come up with another name, whatever. Or they rename this show.
Right. I think there's two options. Number one is NXT Level Up goes live on Thursday nights for 2 hours from the PC. Option number two is TKO purchases TNA, and TNA becomes the fourth show that goes live on Thursday nights. And I don't even know if they do purchase TNA. Here's the thing: is I don't know that they'll be going live with that from the PC. They're not moving TNA into the PC.
Yeah.
Because TNA will stay on the road. TNA is on the road right now. They do 4 shows a month where they tape in one weekend for 4 weeks of television. But when they go live, they're still able to draw, like TNA still draws in small venues. So I think, and that could be the other reason why they're testing this smaller venue with NXT, because they're like, well, if we could do it for NXT and we purchase TNA, we could do it for TNA, and then now it's a whole different ball game in professional wrestling. But I think those are the two options for a Thursday night show on Netflix. I think it's coming, but we'll just have to wait and see.
We will have to wait and see. So next Tuesday, there couldn't be a bigger night for NXT. Like, this has to be flawless.
It has to be perfect. 100%.
They have to deliver in every way, shape, and form.
Absolutely. If they do anything like tonight, like last night that they did, scary times for NXT.
So let's go through it, what we know.
Yeah.
So NXT title, the women's title. Do you kind of see, is there a world in which titles change hands next Tuesday?
No.
You think Julia loses her first title match and Trick does not get his title back?
I wasn't thinking about Trick. Hold on. I don't think Julia wins, as much as that pains me to say. I think you have to again, we talk about Roxanne and the kind of the run that she's on. She's on this run of being untouchable, and just to cement that more, I think you have to Roxanne has to beat Julia, especially because I think Roxanne needs to beat Julia. I think Roxanne needs to beat Stephanie Valcour. I think Roxanne needs to beat Delta when Delta finally makes her appearance. And then I think that there's a world in which you let Roxanne, this belt comes off Roxanne, and in a way that they did it with Trick and Ethan Page, fatal 4-way, triple threat. Roxanne doesn't actually lose. But at that point, it's also because Roxanne's moving to the main roster. Trick and Ethan has more of a chance, I think, for Trick to win the title. I think if you said to me one of them is definitely going to lose, which one is it? Is going to change. I would say it's Trick and Ethan over Roxanne and Julia. But still, that's tough because Ethan Page is on a pretty good run.
I like your and I'm a big that Julia's winning. She's gonna come in, she's gonna win the belt immediately, and she's gonna take.
Right.
But I love your idea of what they should do with Roxanne. I completely agree.
Yeah.
They shouldn't win their first title defense. Maybe that's just an old school wrestling thing.
Right.
But she should go through the gauntlet and then lose. Put the 4 of them in the ring.
Right.
And then she doesn't get pinned.
Right.
She can lose her rematch because they normally give the NXT stars a rematch, and then that's kind of their sending off to the main roster.
Right.
Unless they're keeping her now till the draft, which seems very long to keep Roxanne.
I mean, she's so ready.
She's
right?
so ready. She's so good.
She's so good. Like this Roxanne is on a new level, and she's just so ready for that main roster, for a Raw or a SmackDown, to be in front of 1 million people every week. You know.
But they got to keep heel Roxanne going up. To the
Oh
main roster.
yeah, like you can't.
She has found a comfort zone with this heel character.
100%. Agree, absolutely. So we'll have. I mean, that's to me like. That's kind of where, you know, yeah, like I think you could do some shock and awe with it being, you know, with a Julia winning. And I'll tell you right now, if Julia does win, Roxanne's not sticking around NXT for much longer.
I agree.
I give her 6 weeks after that before, you know,
We'll probably get a rematch at Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll see her phased off NXT TV. She might go away for a little bit, and then maybe we won't see her on the main roster till the Rumble.
Makes sense.
So she might get a nice little vacation, and then, but if she does lose on Tuesday, don't expect Roxanne to be in NXT much longer.
And the other titles, we don't know who Kalani's facing. We know that Fraxim is facing A-Town Down Under.
Right.
I don't foresee a title change there.
Not at all.
We think Oba beats Tony.
Right. I hope Oba beats Tony, only because here's the thing is I hope Oba beats Tony because I believe that there's still meat on the bone, and you could have one more match after this where it's like all or nothing for Tony, and that's his big moment. Yep. If that's not the plan, then let Tony beat Oba.
I'm with you.
So that's where I would be on that one, is like if the plan is not to do one more match after this, then let Tony beat Oba here.
And someone said last night that he's closing in on being the longest reigning North American champion of all time.
Oh, is he?
So got to get, because I'm sure they'll want him to pass that.
Sure.
And then have him. So depending on when that date is,
I'll have to figure that out.
I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find it. But yes, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, that lends even more credence to Oba. Oba does not lose to Tony in St. Louis.
Then I think that's it in terms of titles.
Yeah, I mean, stupid thumbs up. Go away, thumbs up. We're not getting a Heritage Cup defense
not yet, at least.
Right, not yet. Not that we know of yet. Something they could do in St. Louis. We haven't heard anything about Women's North American Championship.
No, because she just defended
last night.
I thought I read that Bianca and Jade were showing up to Chicago.
I heard that too. I thought they said that
so maybe they'll set up a match for October 8th.
Maybe they'll be there.
They're not going to lose the belts to anyone in NXT. So
no, definitely not. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks to see how everything shakes out.
Yeah.
And then I mean, once October 8th happens, we only at that point have 2.5 weeks to Halloween Havoc.
Yeah. Do you think there are any surprise appearances, new people that we don't know about that they've signed, that they've brought in? We haven't heard of anything through the dirt sheets. No,
because everybody's talking about Lucha Brothers going to WWE.
And Motor City Machine Guns.
So maybe you see a Motor City Machine Gun show up in Chicago. Lucha Brothers, but everybody's talking about Lucha Brothers, but they're not going to NXT. They're going straight to the main roster. So I'm so obviously not them then. They're not showing up these next couple of weeks, although it would be fun and be nice. So yeah, I don't think there's anyone that I'm maybe a Gigi Dolan return, especially with the amount they mentioned her last night, Zach Wentz and Wesley. So maybe a Gigi Dolan return, which would be a lot of fun. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't read anything. I haven't heard anything. And I don't know who is out there that would make me go, ooh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's no free agents that I'm okay, waiting for them to show up. I mean, we haven't seen Joe Hendry in a few weeks.
We have not.
So it's a possibility that he shows up at like one of these shows. I'm trying to think of other TNA stars. On TNA, they did a crossover of Santino and his daughter.
I saw that.
So is there a Santino sighting?
Oh, that would be incredible.
I'd love that. That'd be amazing. That'd be a lot of fun actually if we got Santino on the show somehow. But outside of that, I don't see anyone.
I'm with you. Well, that's it.
That is it. We did our
part.
We did our part. We talked about NXT. It was not a great show, but we're hoping that the next 2 weeks are going to be better. Appreciate you watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, WrestlePool for life.